Hey guys, I'm back again. I just had, I call it inspiration, I don't know. Something was a bit of an experiment. The brass hammer and the nylon head that I did recently, let's put those away. The thought was to make a lead hammer, and this was brought about by seeing a Tubal Cain video, Mr. Tom 222 I think it is, and he's got very good casting facilities. He could do sand casting, and he made an aluminum mould, but I thought, well, I want a lead hammer, but how am I going to do it? So this is totally on the fly experimental. As usual, dig around, see what I've got. Found this got a couple of lengths of this welded tube. It's 16 gauge 3/4, so I cut a 10 inch plus length off that to allow for embedding in lead. And then I found this piece of aluminum tube, which is nominally 1 inch by 3/16 I think it is. The OD is just smaller than 3/4, so I took a slice off that, 5 inch, to use as a handle add-on. Then what am I going to cast the lead in? Further search yielded I've got a couple of lengths of this tube, which is nominal 2 inch by 1/8. So I've cut a 4 inch piece of that, and the thing now is how we're going to tackle the casting. Oh, it's rolling away. I've already done a little bit. So there's the slice of 3/4, which is about 1.5 inches plus on 10 inch, and the handle is this aluminum tube, which I've actually, basically it's an interference fit, which was a bit of a job. And what we've done is I've had it in the lathe and machined the end. When I put that on, I got it, well no, first of all, let's get it right. First of all, I put it in the lathe and I drilled 3/4 from both ends, which left it as a very tight fit on the handle, which I didn't want to bother to turn down. So I started whacking it on, and I got about halfway, and then friction became just a bit too much. So I had it upright in an old chuck, and heated the aluminum as quick as I could, and continued to whack hell out of it to get it on, which meant that this end got a bit bell-mouthed. So I turned that down to clean it up, and this end actually deformed just a smidge, so I tidied that up. So there we are, we've got a handle. We've got to secure it in the lead. So the next plan is we're going to put a 3/4 hole in here. This is going to be the mould. 3/4 hole to start with, and then what I want to do is to slit this down, if possible both sides. Alright, so I get 2 halves of it, and that will mean modifying the 3/4 hole just slightly. Put the 2 pieces together and hold them with a couple of adjustable clips, and set the handle up through the hole. It'll all have to be propped up and set up as close as I can to nice and true. Then we'll set that on a chunk of aluminum plate as a heat sink, and we'll do the pour and leave it slightly plus on the pouring end to allow for shrinkage, which can be cleaned up afterwards. And then on this end, I think I'll cross drill that so that I can put in, once it's in the mould, put together in the mould, we'll have a couple of sheet metal screws put in, one each side, either that or a cross pin, something for securing, haven't decided yet, and see how we get on. Should be interesting. As I said, totally experimental. I'll just get a hole made for this mould. We'll get a pilot hole in first. I'll set up and try and get a 3/4 through. I may have to go a bit slower, I think, on revolutions there. I'll take this a bit slow. Of course, nothing here is super critical in terms of tolerances. Yeah, I was just catching at the breakthrough point there. I need to take a link out of one of the pulley belts. Okay. Well, here's one of the tricky bits. In common with my usual approach, it's suck it and see. I want to get a slit on the this mould tube, but I've got to do both sides. So anyway, the first side, which is dividing the handle hole, I've used a zip tie to keep it secure. It's not going to be quite on centre because of the positioning here, but it should be adequate. We've only got to get two pieces for it. Don't know how this is going to work out. I'll have to control the drop fairly carefully here and see if I can just limit it to the top section. Here goes nothing. Put some wax lube on the blade. Oh, just like that. Well, I've given up on the bandsaw approach. It's just not safe. The bandsaw blade tries to grab just slightly, probably at the join each time the blade goes around, and there was no really feasible way of clamping this piece, not really secure, so it's down to a hacksaw job by hand. My favourite. Not. It's actually getting a lot warmer, just for a day or two, and then we get the polar blast and I shan't be out here very much by then, so we'll see if we can get this little project wrapped up before it gets freezing. Oh well, hacksawing not too bad. It was, at least it wasn't steel. I just clamped this back together. I'm going to try and enlarge that, what was a 3/4 hole, see if I can get away with that. Just get that back to the right size, and then we can press on a bit further. And I've got to cross drill the end of the handle here. I think we'll put a roll pin in, something like that. Huh. You know the old saying, measure twice, cut once? I picked up the wrong drill, didn't even look at it. I've gone to 7/8. Never mind, we'll find a way around that. Stupid old man. I've just had a hunt around to see what I got, having made a boo-boo. I got this piece of material which has already been bored out, and it's 3/4 5/8 ID. So I'm just going to pop that in the lathe and bore it out to 1/4. So we'll make a little slip collar to close the gap. Oh, dear me. Right. More unnecessary avoidable work. I just popped the chunk of spare in the lathe. It just shows it's worth keeping all your offcuts, even if they're only a couple of inches long. So I'll put that on there up to the mark, and then that will go with a little persuasion. It'll go into the oversized hole, and then I'm going to cross drill that for a 3/16 roll pin. Let's do a quick cross drill on here, approximate, just to take the pin. I didn't think it was too bad actually when I checked it. Just had to give that a slight tweak. Alright, that'll do. That's all it's going to do is retain the handle, which I think will be adequate. Right, we're more or less ready for casting, I think. There's my mistake correction, little collar, and then inside the roll pin, we'll keep well clear. Well, I might bring it back just a little bit. So I've got to work out now to get the old forge set up, melt some lead, do some casting. Well, my furnace is a bit of a lash up. It's something I used years ago and I had a better position for it. This is not the ideal, but I've rearranged the fire bricks to get the pot in there, and we'll put a flame in there. I've got some fragments of refractory brick which, once they get hot, help the heat on the pot. And then I'll just take a look from further away. Now I've just moved back. I've set up the welding table with the casting set up, and I've got this set pretty true. There may be a slight spillage from the bottom of the mould, but I'm not going to worry about that. And I'll probably trim each end when the lead has set and tidy it up. It's not going to be too overly pretty, it's not meant to be, it's functional, but we'll see how it works out. To reiterate yet again, it's an experiment. Just doing a bit of preheat here. I've got a very old piece of lead plumbing. I want to melt that down, and then I'm on the right, you can't quite see them, I've got some of my old ingots which I used to cast inside steel tube, so I've got plenty of lead. I got part of it, get a little bit of pipe melted down, just putting one of my large ingots in, which takes a while to melt. See, that's on the way, and I think what's in there probably will be enough actually, hopefully. Once that's melted down, we'll get the dross off, and then I'm going to preheat the mould, get a little bit of heat into that before I pour. Right, a little bit of preheat here, just to make it not too chilled. I think that'll do. And just give it a bit of a fighting chance. And predictably, it's pretty heavy. Oh! Well, there was a mistake for a start. Coming out of the tube. That's something I didn't think about. It's doing it again. Didn't even think of that, did I? Oh well, live and learn. You see how the floor moves, the way that puddle is moving. Amazing how you can forget the simplest of things. Oh my gosh. I can't get over that. Forgetting to block the handle. Oh, look at that. I think what I might try, two things actually. I'll melt that out of the handle, but I think, see, this bottom end isn't too bad. It's not perfect at all, but the shrinkage on the top there is a bit excessive. So I think what I'll do is melt it out and block up the handle and see if we can get a slightly better result. Okay, well, we melted that out. I put a plug in the handle, which I should have done before. Crazy. Let's try another pour, and then I'll get off the floor so that it doesn't move. Oh, I think I forgot to run that when I was pouring. Anyway, I've poured and it shrunk in the middle, predictably. A bit too much, but we'll see how it's like looking when I take it out of the mould. Alright, well, we've got the mould loosening off on one side anyway. Just got to get the other side off. There. There's a bit of trimming up needed, but actually got to clean up the handle, something got stuck to it, polish up the shaft. That hollow is rather annoying, so I think I'll probably cut a little bit off each end. Feels pretty good. I haven't weighed it yet. 3-4 pounds, I don't know. That's a much better pour anyway. Okay guys, end of story. We got there in the end, sort of. Although it wasn't the ideal thing for the bandsaw, I've just cut two ends off. What is it, 5/8, something like, no, just over a quarter. Anyway, I've got back to it's just the bottom of a shrink hole there on that one, and the other side of course is solid. So that brings it down to 3 1/4, I think. 3 1/4. Yep, 3 1/4. And it was showing as about a 3-pounder. So now it's just, so let's say it's 2 1/2. Anyway, this it's a good bit of meat on there. The outside finish is not too bad. I had a fairly quick pour, and if I remember rightly, I forgot to put the camera on when I did the second pour. I was too concerned with concentrating. See a little hole there, but otherwise I've wire brushed the shaft here and it stays blue, which is not a problem, doesn't worry me. And the aluminum handle, wire brushed a bit of crud off that, and that's it. I told you it was an experiment, but basically I've got a lead hammer. I might try it again sometime, make 1 or 2 refinements. Okay, so end of story. First trial. Alrighty, thanks for watching.